Hello, everyone, and very warm welcome to another edition of Marketing the Invisible. I'm Tom Poland, joined today by Ian Koniak. Ian, a very warm g'day from down under, sir. Where are you hanging out?
I'm in Los Angeles, California. Big fan of Australia, so great to be here.
Yeah, you were here for a year, a little bit, he told me. Not too far away from where I am either. So you had a taste of Aussie. And the same little bird told me it's as hot as hell in LA at the moment, right?
In inner LA, yes, but I'm by the beach, so we have the nice coast, and it's about 82 degrees. I don't know what that converts for Celsius, but
Pretty
it's
hot.
warm. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in a heat warning. When you get that in the weather app, you know it's hot.
Right. All right. So, Ian, very warm welcome. Folks, if you haven't heard of Ian, he's a giver. That's first and foremost. He does these interviews not to get more business in the door, but just so that he can share stuff that's going to help people. His thing is sales coaching. He helps account executives. And if you're selling something as a coach or a consultant, or you're in a corporation, that's you, helps them go from good to great by mastering the mindset, which I think is just so missing from sales conversations. You know, that it's the foundation to help master the mindset, the habits, and the skills, the complete package, in other words, to perform at the highest level in sales. Now, Ian has started a race, the equivalent, the metaphorical equivalent of a race to the top of Mount Everest, with hundreds and hundreds of competitors, and got there at the top. He sold $100 million in his own career, but he was the former #1 enterprise account executive at Salesforce.com. That is nothing short of winning a sprint race to the top of Mount Everest. It's extraordinary, and my congratulations on that. But essentially what it means is that you are one of the best qualified people to talk about mindset, talk about habits, and talk about skills. So let's get going. The subject is how to develop the mindset of champions. Ian, our 7 minutes is going to start now. Question number one, sir, who's your ideal client?
My ideal client, there are really two ideal clients. The first one is just the person that wants to perform to their full potential. So typically this is an account executive selling, software or something that has the high ticket potential similar to Salesforce, and they know they could be doing better, but they don't know what to do. They've tried it on their own. They're either
Right.
performing average or a little below average, maybe good, but not great, right? So I really do help those people tap into what makes you phenomenal, the best of the best, because my story was that I struggled and I was that average person and I didn't know what to do until I got help. And now I have the fortune of helping others figure out how to overcome what's inside of them that's holding them back. So I coach mostly account executives and help figure out how they can get to the very best that they can be. And with that comes income, fulfillment, a lot of times confidence. So those are the people I work with.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So 5 minutes 50 left. You've probably defined the problem you solved quite well already. Anything you want to add to that? It's a lack of leads or a lack of conversions, or is the whole thing from generating the lead to getting that prospect over the line and buying?
The problem I solve is really limiting beliefs. And a lot of time people fundamentally, they have an internal thermostat, if you will, that says, I'm used to playing at 70 degrees. I'm not an 80 or
Right.
90 degreer. And they get hot and they cool themselves down, and they get cold, they warm themselves up, but they're used
So
to
true.
really working in their comfort zone and kind of like not thinking they could be #1 at their company or, get their dream life possible. So I help people break free of that which holds them back. And it's often just their own patterns, their own habits, their own limiting beliefs and thoughts.
Thank you, sir. 5 minutes left. What about some of the symptoms that someone listening to this would give them a heads up and say, yeah, I have those symptoms. I need to find out more about what Ian is doing. And one of them probably is, you mentioned right at the start, they have this feeling they could be doing a whole lot better. So I guess one of them is a bit of frustration. What else are they going to be experiencing?
They're beating themselves up. They're saying, why do I
Right,
keep doing the same things over and over again? I know I
right.
need to be showing up differently. A lot of the symptoms is they're frustrated, they're overwhelmed, they're stressed. And,
Yeah,
and a big one is they believe and think that something is missing in their life, right? There's a big void that they're trying to fill. And a lot of times that void is pursuit of their full potential. And they're just kind of like a hamster in a wheel, running around, doing the same
yeah.
things, frustrated, unhappy, really just kind of living an empty existence, if you will, in the world of sales.
That's
really stressed out and constantly just running around like a chicken with their head cut off. That's a good way to.
Yeah, that's a really interesting big picture take. We're talking about someone's life, right? We're talking about how they're feeling about themselves, and the interactions with their friends and their loved ones are probably impacted as well. 3 3/4 minutes left. Real quick, what would you say is some of the common mistakes after they've finished beating themselves up? People are going to try stuff. What would you say are a couple of the big mistakes that people make? Instead of fixing the problem, they're really doing something else that's not going to work for them anyhow. 3.5 minutes left.
Big mistake is they think they can do more activity. I'm going to just work harder. I'm going to call more people. I'm going to just email more people. I'm just going to ramp up my activity and hustle.
Right. So
rather than changing their skills, getting help, mentoring people, learning and modeling how to actually do it at the highest level, they just do more of what they were doing. That's very common.
Yeah, I'm doing 10 calls a day, and it's an absolute disaster. So I'll do 20 calls, and I just double the disaster rate.
Yeah, they try and hustle harder. But that doesn't
so
work.
Let's go. Question 5. Just under 3 minutes left. What would you give us a top tip, a valuable free action someone can take? Not going to solve the whole problem, but it might take them a step in the right direction.
I would say the number one thing they can do is, and this is easier said than done. It's not like just an overnight thing, but the reason people are struggling is because they're making it all about them. They're inward focused. They're focused on their quote attainment, their income, their goals, and making it all about them. But when you're making everything about you, okay, your customers are not going to receive you in the best possible way. So instead of worrying about your goals, make your focus to help understand your customers' goals and help them achieve it through the products, services, or solutions that you sell. So that shift from inward to outward focus is by far the biggest shift somebody can make. And that really takes leaving your ego at the door, frankly.
And you've carried that through into your professional life, the whole giving mentality, the whole thinking about the other person mentality, the kind of, I suppose you have in the back of your mind still there's a goal there, but the attitude is, let me help. And I would venture to suggest you probably carried that through into your personal life as well. That must have been one of the big shifts you've made. But I'll carry on. Valuable free resource, question 6, just over a minute and a half left. Where can people go to find out more about untapping their sales potential?
Well, it's just there. It's untapyoursalespotential.com. And if you want a free resource to really figure out what are those qualities of those top elite sellers, go to untapyoursalespotential.com/top-traits. Top traits. I'm sure we'll put it in the show notes. Tom will give that for you, but that's where you can get it's a nice freebie one-pager that you can keep with you and figure out what pages will you need to develop. I also will send, when you download that, a series of tips on each of the traits and how to develop them.
Fantastic. So that's untapyoursalespotential.com/top-traits, TRAITS. We've got a whopping 40 seconds left. Ian, what's the one question I should have asked you but didn't?
Well, you should have asked me my favorite thing about Australia. And since you did,
apart from me, what's your favorite thing about Australia?
I love the people in Australia. And my favorite place in Australia was the Whitsunday Islands, and it's just gorgeous there, and I miss it. And it was a wonderful year there. So the people in the countryside, it's just so beautiful there, and I loved living there. And I want to take my wife back when they're older.
Yeah, come on over. I'll get the coffee on ready for you. Come and visit. Ian, thanks so much for your time and your insights and your generosity in giving. Cheers.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks for checking out our Marketing the Invisible podcast. If you like what we're doing here, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. It's very much appreciated. And if you want to generate 5 fresh leads in just 5 hours, then check out www.5hourchallenge.com.